Look, hey, still, let's go. I was born to kill it, I was meant to win. I am down and willing, so I will find a way. It took a minute, now it didn't happen right away. When it get hot in the kitchen, you decide to stay. That's how it winners made. Stick a fork in the hater on my dinner plate. I walk into the fire like it's just a bit of flame. I switch my style up, watch the money pile up. I'ma get rich with life.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Podcast. My name is Scott Schweitzer from the Clydesdale, and we are highlighting the athletes of the 2024 Legends Masters CrossFit Games. And I'm so honored to have with me today Kevin Jones. Kevin, what's going on?
What's happening? How you doing today?
I'm good. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifier. We're doing a ton of these interviews, and the only way you know when they're happening is to hit that little bell on YouTube so that you know they're coming up. And we're just taking a short break for the CrossFit Games, and we'll be back at it on the other side of that as well. So, Kevin, we were talking beforehand. You're an Indiana guy.
Yes, sir.
Born and raised in Indiana?
Yes, I was. Always thought I was going to get out of this place, and traveling around and trying to look for what I perceived to have been my community. I kind of recognized that I liked traveling around. And so I decided when I was a little bit younger to just kind of hunker down, stay as a home base in Indiana, and just try to travel around and see what the world had going on out there. And a little inexpensive here as far as living is concerned. I had a whole kind of network built up around myself as a business, and was fortunate enough to be able to do a little bit of traveling and just come back and do what I had to do for work, and just optimizing my perception of like CrossFit is as a whole, not just a sport. And so coming into the sport was very like recognizing the methodology of the sport was not at all what I thought it did not end up being what I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be just really light barbells and, flipping tires. And I'd never thought I was going to lift heavy weights again. So, but I liked the idea of being a very well-rounded individual inside the gym and trying to learn all the different things there were to still learn within a gym, coming from kind of a Globo gym background. And the life that I lived outside of the gym was what I felt very well-rounded. And so it just kind of felt like a perfect fit for me. And so I integrated myself into it. And now a little heavy on the sport side of CrossFit rather than the entire methodology of the well-rounded lifestyle, I think.
So looking back through your Instagram and some things I found on the internet, you've dabbled in weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
And you were telling me before we went on the air that when you lived in South Bend, that you actually brought CrossFit to a powerlifting gym.
Yeah, so I kind of separated from the CrossFit gym that I was at when I was living in South Bend and started training on my own and brought my equipment into a gym that was primarily a powerlifting gym. And it was nice to kind of have my little corner of a gym. I had a training partner that I trained with, but it was not a CrossFit gym at all. We were doing Mayhem programming and, just very single focus driven towards qualifying for the games last year is kind of what brought upon getting that set up. And I had a little bit of a mishap with a video last year, which kept me from doing that. So I had a workout that I won, and my lockout looked like this for my shoulder to overhead. My elbows were out of the picture. So that was a big mishap last year. But last year I was very focused on qualifying for the CrossFit Games, and I was very fit. This year I feel like I'm kind of running on residual fitness because the changes that have come upon me within the last year of work and my living situation as I moved from South Bend over to Fort Wayne and changed jobs. I do not have the general output that I used to have daily. So kind of everything I've been very affected in the gym and in my recovery, in that I'm used to having a particular level of output throughout my day that kind of keeps me warm and keeps my body kind of moving. I don't have that same output now. And when I did have that output, I would go into the gym and I would give it 100%. I don't warm up. I just go in and ready to be a wrecking ball, go 100 miles an hour. And I do that now, and the recovery is not so great because I don't have that general just movement throughout the day. So my base isn't the same as it once was. So I've got to start learning to change my training, change my diet. There's a lot of changes that are happening for me. So it's been very interesting this year.
So Jay Birch jumps in. Would Kevin say that the sport of CrossFit is different than the training CrossFit?
I think so. I think like I have a little bit of contempt for the sport of CrossFit. Just like personally, my internal dialogue is that the sport of CrossFit is, it's very privileged to be able to compete at the sport of CrossFit because it takes a lot of time, and it really is about how much time you can devote to the sport of CrossFit. For me, you know, there might be other people. I feel like I'm more of a talent than somebody who has more talent than like actual putting in the work. I don't feel like I'm putting in the work. And I think a lot of people probably feel that way that are competitive. They don't feel like they're putting in enough work. But I feel like I don't put in enough work to be the best of the best. And I feel like it's a gross privilege to be able to put in enough work to do what it takes to be at the top of the field in CrossFit as a sport. But what I perceive the methodology to be across a lifestyle, I think if you're too integrated into the sport, then you may be kind of lacking elsewhere. And that's just for me. That's maybe not for everybody, but I feel that sport is kind of like the sport of CrossFit in life is kind of like being a good weightlifter in CrossFit versus and maybe being just good at weightlifting and not good at gymnastics, right? So I feel like it's a huge privilege to be able to be training to compete at the sport of CrossFit and to be able to compete with the best of the best. It is a privilege. So I'm honored to be able to be in a position to be doing this, but I don't think that it is for everybody for sure.
I think one general theme that I've gotten through these interviews is that every athlete feels torn in the Masters division because you have other obligations, whether it be children, whether it be a job, whether, you know, a profession of some sort. Everybody feels torn. And I've been told like, it almost makes you feel like you're average at everything because you can't focus on any one thing, because as you get older, you just have different obligations. You can't do this as your career.
For sure. Yeah. And that's kind of like with the field, I feel like where the field that's going to the Masters Games, as incredible as the best of the best that are going to be there are, I like to think of it as a representation of what's possible within a aging body, within a community that's united. So I like to look at it as a whole, and I'm really looking forward to just going and having, like this year in particular, just trying to enjoy myself, trying to make friends, trying to build upon the community I already have. You know, I've got at least 5 or 6 buddies that I'm going to be competing with in my division alone. And I know other people that'll be there in other divisions that I've built relationships with that are lifelong, lasting relationships, daily communication relationships with a lot of people that'll be there. So the relationships, the community, that's what it's all about. And and trying to, in consideration of this particular interview, I do not have children, but I can imagine, like, if I did, my focus would be like trying to use this as a place to set an example for the kids, and because that's what it's all about. And when I was a kid, if I had this kind of structure and this kind of discipline as a part of my lifestyle growing up, or even within view of my lifestyle growing up, it would have made such an impact And, you know, I'd like to be able to be inspirational to somebody who has the world left to offer.
So I'm going to jump into Jay Birch has a follow-up question to his question as with that said, what percentage of your training is centered around strength? You're from your Instagram, you're a strong dude.
Yeah. I'm very strong, and that's kind of like that's my ace in the hole, you know, like I have the ability in the world scale to be a top 5 athlete at anything that's got a 1 rep max, or that's low volume gymnastics and high volume barbell. So I enjoy the barbell. I've always been very strong. My clean in particular, I have very good technique with my clean. My snatch, not so much. But as far as a percentage based, I generally like to start a training session with squatting, cleaning, a heavy barbell. I just like to get started that way as my warm up for the workout. And it's kind of taken over from my actual, what I perceive to be fitness. There was a time when I thought like I never wanted to be slower than a 6-minute mile. And now that I'm training on the track again, I'm realizing like I've kind of fallen way off of what was my once upon a time kind of like benchmark for, okay, I'm fit. I don't have that. My mile time is slowing down, I think. So quite a bit from when I was a kid. But my clean is kind of like my claim to fame. So I spend about an hour's worth of slow warm up into squat and a weightlifting session. And then my Metcons with the Mayhem programming that we do, I really like the interval training. So super high output, rest, recover, super high output. Those are my jams. Right now, I'm the heaviest I've been in a long time. My lifestyle has changed to make it very difficult for me to mitigate that. And I haven't prioritized that so much, but so it's my own fault. But the high body weight gymnastic endurance workouts are just not as good as they once were for me. Whereas when I came into CrossFit, that was my biggest thing. I'd kind of stepped away from heavy weightlifting, but I've always just been a very strong athlete. So I'm not too concerned with losing that while I try to hit the track to do running workouts for the next month.
So this is not your first time to the CrossFit Games. You qualified in 2018
Yes.
And went that year. What was that experience like, and how are you going to change this year's event and for you personally?
For me personally, well, the event itself, if as far as how much I enjoy the workouts, that's going to be dictated by the programming. So the programming may kind of affect me. I'm not the most well-rounded athlete right now, so I'm really hoping we get some heavy barbells and we don't have a workout with 500 toes to bar or 500 burpee box jump overs, but or 1,000 box step ups for that matter. But so the programming is going to dictate how much real fun I'm able to have. But I'm going to try to separate myself from the programming and enjoy the experience. Knowing in 2018, it was a little underwhelming how much attention was given to our divisions. And this year, it's just totally focused on us. So I'm looking forward to see how that feels different. I've been to masters competitions. I've been to, competitions that are before there were masters divisions. And I don't know. With Granite Games, did Granite Games have masters divisions? I'm not sure, but I've done all the competitions. And I'm really curious to see how this one's going to be run and how the competitors are going to show up. I really hope that everybody's tries to have a good time and treats it kind of like Wadapalooza, like we're all here to just have a good time and do our best. But I'm sure there's going to be Terminators out there that are just ready to just single-minded, just wreck shop, and that's okay too. But I'm looking to try to smile out there and just do my best.
I think what's cool about the Masters division is everybody's trying to win. Like you don't go into a competition just to do it. You've put a lot of work in to get there. Most of these athletes have, but yet the camaraderie and the support from one another is unmatched at any other competition I've been to.
Yeah. And we're kind of like a class that's going to stick together for the rest of the entire rest of our lives. I mean, everybody in my division right now, I know another 10, 15 guys that had they focused on it would have beat me in the qualification. I'm coming in 40th right now, so I got nowhere to go but up. So I got not a whole lot of that. That's a nice place to be, actually. I was a little distraught initially as to where I was going to fall, if I was even going to fall inside the cut line. But that's a nice place for me to be.
About that 40th, because they took 40, so you were the last guy in.
Yeah.
How was that 2.5 week wait for them to finalize the leaderboard?
Oh, it's always frustrating. The leaderboard process is always so frustrating, and it's hard to, whether or not you really care. Everybody cares whether they're going to make it, right? But I don't feel I'm able to compete for the podium right now, which that's a tough place to be, because last year I felt like I was able to compete for the podium. And so that made it a little easier if I don't make the cut line, that's okay, right? But we've got to keep each other honest. And I feel that I'm able to go out there and I can win events. I'm able to win events. So from that perspective, I want to show up and I want to force somebody else to try to beat me at a clean ladder, right?
Right.
So in that regard, like I wanted to be there because I felt like I have something to offer this competition. And
whether you, this isn't so what you're telling me is this isn't the most prepared you've been going into a season.
No.
But yet when you finish the semifinals and you're in 40th place, now you have a taste that you could be going to the games, even not at your best. Mm-hmm. And at that point you had to want it. Yes. Right. So then that 2.5 week wait is just brutal.
It is. It is. And there's a lot of screwy stuff going on the leaderboard with, knowing that people might be doing things that are less than we expect out of them,
Right.
So just knowing that it could be a very different leaderboard under a lot of other circumstances, that does make it difficult. It makes it difficult for a lot of people that are just outside the cusp. I've got people that are just as well deserved to be there as anyone else that are sitting right outside the cut line. And it's very difficult to see. So it makes me want to show up and do my best and to really be able to, I don't want anybody else to feel like they should have been there or they would have beat me, though they can beat me in particular events. But I don't want to show disrespect to the athletes that didn't make it by not showing up the best that I can from this point on. And so I'm just doing my best to try to show up and to win events. There's events I can win, and I want those ones. There's events I'm going to get my butt kicked at, and I'm going to get my butt kicked in some regards. But it changes the focus for sure. Because
in a long weekend, winning 100 points in an event is massive. Like if you win an event, that gives you so much buffer to the other events, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can win 2, like there's people that won't finish the weekend with 200 points.
Yeah.
just middling throughout the weekend. It's a crazy dynamic with 40 people on the leaderboard. This is the first year the Masters will have that. Like
Yeah.
it's been 10 or 20. And so you don't get a lot of fluctuation because nobody can fall too far, but you can this year.
For sure. Yeah. It's going to be, the leaderboard's going to be interesting. I've dabbled with the idea of, I've got some friends that try not to look at the leaderboard at all. I've dabbled at, would I be capable of doing that? It'd be nice to not look at the leaderboard and just go out and give it your best. I'm sure that I won't be able to do that, but yeah, the amount of athletes there, and everybody that's going to be there there's a lot of people that are amazing at everything, but there's going to be, everybody's also got one punch power at a particular workout, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So, I've kind of, my focus in when I know that I don't have the ability to be training to be 100% well-rounded is that strength. I want that one punch knockout in a weightlifting workout, deadlift and double unders and handstand walking or something, or, 1 rep max clean. I want that one punch power because when that 5K run, 1K swim comes up, I'm going to be having a rough time compared to those athletes.
Yeah. Jay Birch asks, off topic, but what is that pic on your CrossFit profile? Chicken and a donut?
Oh yeah. It's like, chicken and waffles type thing with a donut on there. There was some meal that I had that I thought would just be kind of a funny thing. That was years ago. I thought it'd be a funny thing to be on a CrossFit profile. So
chicken and waffles is one of my guilty pleasures.
Oh man, it's been a long time, but yeah, it's amazing.
Well, speaking of that, it appears that like how you get your relaxation and your decompression is to travel. Your Instagram is full of like really cool pics and really cool places. What is your bucket list place to visit?
That I have not been?
Correct.
Constantinople, Istanbul. I've not been to Istanbul, so I'd really like to go there. Spend a little bit of time. A lot of my trips to Europe revolve around Prague. I love Prague. It's my favorite place in the world. Got a lot of friends there, and so I'll try to start or end a trip there. But yeah, Istanbul is high on the list, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot outside of that, but that one jumps out. For some reason, I want to go to Krakow, Poland, just because it's so Gothic from the pictures that I've seen. I like the extreme Gothic architecture, but I've not. Yeah, everywhere. I want to see everything at some point.
Yeah, I've seen pictures from London. I've seen pictures from either Central or South America. Lots of Europe. It's really cool that you get to do that. And you can tell it's definitely a love in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while. The 2020 thing kind of changed everything. Life just got super busy for me. And right now my current work situation involves a lot of travel. So travel doesn't sound so fun to me. I'm not really able to separate myself from work like I have been in the past. And I also have 2 dogs now that are my best little buddies, and I have a tough time thinking about being away for 3 weeks, so which is kind of the way that I would like to do it generally. So I've considered at some point doing like getting a mobile home kind of thing to travel around and be able to take them with me and go on kind of North American excursions to see natural. I like cities. I like walkable old cities. I like kind of super historic, like the Chichen Itza type stuff. But walking the cities of Prague and London and those kind of things, those are the best. Barcelona.
Jaybirch asks, any urge to go to Antarctica?
I have the urge to know exactly what's going on in Antarctica, but I don't really want to go there outside of learning what's really happening down there. There's something happening down there.
So What kind of dogs do you have?
Standard poodles. So
So
they
big
take
dog.
a lot of my time.
So you told me before we went on air, you took a new job, you moved to Fort Wayne. It messed up your training schedule.
Yeah.
Is the next thing after the games to figure out how to balance the new job with your training schedule and figure out how to get back to a more well-rounded athlete?
I would prefer to say a more well-rounded life. My inner athlete is going to be best served by my lowest stress situation. So I think that has played a big factor in my personal ability to maintain the level of health that I have, is mitigating stress throughout my life and recognizing stress factors that are incoming, and trying to mitigate those has been kind of like a super high priority. So if I can learn to navigate the new stresses that I have in my life, it's going to make me a better athlete.
Yeah, I think that's an amen from all of us in this world. Getting rid of those outside stresses is key for all of us.
Yeah.
Athlete or not. When are you getting to Birmingham? You going in early that week, or are you taking anybody with you?
I have not yet booked my travel. I should probably do that. I think I'm going to come in on Tuesday night. I'm kind of affected by, I'm glad a recent trip I did just kind of jet lagged the heck out of me. And I have been getting more like, I get that kind of edema thing that happens in the air. I've been, in just changes. That's something that's been happening to me, is like my feet swell and stuff like that. So I think I was planning on just coming in on Wednesday, but I think I'm going to come in on Tuesday and give myself that extra day. At least it'll be just a one-way trip to get there. I'm used to kind of the work that I do now. I've got round trips where I'll be, flying out on Monday night and coming home on Tuesday night. And that round trip, just kind of like whirlwind, really messes me up. So I don't anticipate the jet lag to be as bad as what I'm used to dealing with as far as getting back to training after a round trip. But I think I'm going to come in on Tuesday night and then just kind of do a little bit of movement on Wednesday, and we'll see what the workouts that we have in store are. I'm not one to like stay warm or need to like do a bunch of training the day before, but that's the kind of thing I need to learn to change. I just did a competition this weekend that was a team comp kind of local thing with at our gym, and literally didn't warm up at all. Jumped into the first workout and kind of strained my groin a little bit. So I gotta warm up, gotta stay active. So I'm going to come in on Tuesday and try to get a little movement in on Wednesday instead.
Yeah, that edema thing is nuts. I get that as well when I fly. Like, and I'm flying to the games this week, and like the whole first 24 hours is just getting that fluid off my body, get moving around, get your feet elevated, and just recover from the flight.
Yeah.
But I'm a lot older than you, so.
How old are you?
I'm 54.
Oh, wow. I would not have guessed.
Well, thanks. Yeah. CrossFit's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
what about yourself? When are you getting into Birmingham? You going there, I'd imagine?
Yeah. So we're going to be down there. We're going to film a behind the scenes documentary. That week we got permission to have all access in the warm up area and the corrals, and to just film the chats, the camaraderie that goes on back there with all the athletes. So we're going to be, Ellie Hiller and myself will be filming that, and we're going to have some videographers out on the floor getting some of the action there, and we're going to put it together as a multiple part documentary.
Nice.
So we're coming in. I think I'm leaving here on Tuesday night, probably stop. I'm driving probably halfway, and we'll come in Wednesday morning and get everything set up, show up for check-in, get some of that documented, and then, be there all weekend.
Well, I will see you down there. You don't happen to have any insight into the workouts yet, do you?
I do not. I know nothing, man. It's a struggle. Like, these people are so busy that are running this thing. Just getting like a text through and a response is tough.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything really at all.
Yeah. We're looking forward to, like I said, you had Josh Boonstra on here. I watched his interview, and he's part of a chat group that we've got together that we help keep each other on track. And so we want to make sure any kind of insight we get, we're communicating it so everybody's got the info and there's no insider trading going on.
Yeah. Got to stop these leaks in CrossFit. Everybody, it needs to be a fair playing field.
For sure.
So Kevin, so thank you so much for doing this. Really can't wait to meet you in person down there and document the weekend. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. You guys make this show what it is. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see everybody here next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.